Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Game Zone. This is a new show that I'm trying out to see how well it goes. So on this episode of the Game Zone, I'm going to touch on a couple different topics and we'll see. The first one we're going to go with is the Iron Maiden mobile game, which released I believe last week. I got a notification through Facebook, and it's another game where you have one team versus one team battling out. The only difference is you're collecting different versions of Eddie, which is the mascot for Iron Maiden, but in the battles you'll have creatures with Eddie, and you can interchange all your Eddies to go boom, 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 boom. And the cool thing is, when you're playing, you're listening to Iron Maiden music. The level designs are each for different albums that they've released. I've played through the first two of them. They're pretty good. Good controls, variety in enemies. The story is really good. It has a gem system like Marvel Contest of Champions, which is really good. It has good game mechanics. It flows well. There's not a lot of lag, and it's different. It's not just a point and click. You have to point, you have to click, and then the circle will appear, and once it goes green, you let go. And it's pretty good for attacks. There's power-ups, kind of like an isolate system in like a Marvel Avengers Ultimate Alliance. I think the game runs very smoothly, and I think if you were going to check it out, I think it'd be cool. Remember, there's not a lot to the game. It's in its beginning stages. When games are in their beginning stages, there's never really a lot to go on. So that brings me to my next topic. Consoles versus mobile gaming. Now, some old school gamers are worried that mobile games are going to take over consoles, because a lot of mobile games are free, you can play them on the go. But the thing is, mobile games are never going to take over consoles. They're two different landscapes, because there's certain games you can't do in a mobile game format. If you really look at mobile games, a lot of them are simplistic, very simple, like team stuff, swiping games. Even the Spider-Man games, very simplistic. A lot of the fighting games, you're just going like this. But console games, there's more to them. They're more in-depth. There's more console games get released. A mobile game is just cheaper, which is weird that some certain game companies really want to take it outside of the box, and console game companies are trying to get into mobile. Konami has some, Square has a couple, Ubisoft has some. Some of them are versions of games they have on the console, some are new games. So it's completely different. It will never completely overtake the other. Me personally, I prefer console games. Now let's talk about Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go is a mobile game that was just released last week in the United States. It was already in Japan. And there's some good points with some bad points. Good points is it's getting gamers to go out, walk around. I tried out the game. It's all about walking around and trying to get to that next step. But the bad thing is cops are already getting irritated because people aren't paying attention to when they're walking. One lady discovered a dead body while she was playing the game. The game is good and bad. I know it's going to be addictive for a lot of people, but it's going to make you be more mobile, walking around, trying to figure out things, which I think is good. It's good to get gamers out there, but people have to remember that when you're playing this game, you have got to be aware of your surroundings. You got to be completely aware, and it's just trying to figure out what to do in the game It's not hard. But just walking around, just everybody be careful when you're playing this game, because the last thing we need is for people to really get hurt. Now let's talk about The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. Now, back in January, they released the first game with Games of Gold, and they just released the second one on Xbox Live for the Xbox One. What The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing is it is a Diablo-esque inspired game where you have a companion with you the whole time, and the game is really, it incorporates guns, there's a bigger skill tree, you can access your stuff very well, has an intricate story. I don't know if they're going to release the third one onto the system, but I've beaten the first one, and I played through half of the second one. And there's the hunter class, which is range plus melee, so that's really cool. You have the mage class, where you have like lightning, ice, fire, different spells, and you also have the like gun class, which is kind of interesting to play like that, and it's really just everything is trying to figure it out, get better at it, figure out like how to come back from death, how not to die so much, and do it that way. The game's really good. There's a lot to it. I would suggest anybody to pick it up if you're a fan of Diablo. Really pick it up. You can have a cape, a hat, boots, armor, a gun, a sword, gloves, amulet, 2 rings, trophies, the whole 9 yards. So I think that all that's really good. There's a lot to the game, and I personally think everybody should check it out. Later this week, I'm going to do a playthrough, and I'm going to record it for this channel. I haven't done one of those videos in a while, but I think it's about time I did another one. Next up, gaming channels. So I'm going to talk about some of these channels that I watch that really, they got me into making videos and game related. As you notice earlier on this channel, before I moved, because for those who do not know, I used to live in Marysville, and then I moved to the Puyallup area, and I really like these channels. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Spoonie Experiment with Noah Adeweiler. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his last name. I like him because he gives a PC perspective. A lot of people don't give a PC perspective. He films his stuff. He puts a lot of effort into them. I don't have the resources to do the kind of stuff he does, but he's really good. Has a different... I like the Bert and the Robot, the Dr. Insano, all that. But I think Spoonie is a really good character, and he does like reviews nobody else does. He's the first person I've ever seen to really tackle the Ultimate series, and to really in depth go into different PC games, bad movies, the Highlander series, the Captain America movie that was crap from the 80s. He does some FM video games like Demolition Man, a Power Rangers one, Pumpkinhead. He's really good at really describing things, and I think that's really cool for him to go into detail and really do everything from his perspective, because everybody has their own shtick. Everybody has their own stuff that they do. I have mine. I try and be different too. So, and next on the list, I'm going to talk about is, of course, the Game Chasers. The Game Chasers are really cool because they do all these videos showing, like, going to flea markets and everything else, trying to find rare video games in Texas. And then later on it went around the United States. Now, the game chasing isn't as easy over here as it is down there. But still, I love watching it. I love the dichotomy between Billy and Jay, and then you put in Dodongo, and then you put in Chris, and then you put in Melbourne. And I think it's really cool. The Game Chasers are something good to watch. So if you want to, they have like 54 or 55 episodes right now. Another one would be Beat 'em Ups with Wood. Beat 'em Ups has the Game Quest. He has Wood's Got Goods. He is a very good, really good person. He's funny. I'll have his girlfriend on there from time to time, but I got started on there with a Game Quest with him in Australia. First him and Kane, then him and Chris, going out and looking for games in Australia, and it's a really different dichotomy from over there to here. And then he's done some videos in the States, and now he's up in Canada, so he's doing some videos there. So he's just really funny. Next would actually be what got everybody into gaming videos, the Angry Video Game Nerd, James Rolfe. Now, I'm going to talk about the Cinemaster channel, but there's the Angry Video Game Nerd, there's James and Mike Mondays. Those are two ones that I always watch, because I could watch those videos over and over and over and over again. He's really smart, he's funny, he takes a lot of time and effort doing his shows, making them unique, making them really good, and I haven't seen a bad episode of either of those. And they're he's really relatable, so is Mike Matei, and it's really cool watching their perspective on gaming, which is completely different than a lot of people's. But the final channel I'm going to talk about is the first ever YouTube video game channel I ever watched, and that would be The Great Clement. I've watched every video on his channel. I follow him on Twitter. I think he's fucking hilarious, and I really love his insight, how he does things. And I think Clement is really good. He's very smart, very intellectual. His view on Sonic 06 is really good. His view on the Mega Man series, on the Sonic the Hedgehog series. I just think that when he really gets into it, it's really cool. And he's very smart, and he's one of the best Mega Man players I've seen. And I think the Great Clement is awesome. I think he's really good, and those are some of the channels I watch. Now, it was announced last week that the Neversoft, the people behind the Mortal Kombat X game, Mortal Kombat XL, and they also did Injustice Gods Among Us, Justice Gods Among Us 2, which comes out in the spring. They want to do a horror movie fighting game with like Freddy, Jason, Pumpkinhead, Chucky, Pinhead, Ash, Alien, Predator, Leatherface, Freddy Krueger. They want to do a fighting game with horror movie icons, which I could really attest to. I think it would be really good if they actually were able to get that off the ground, because a horror movie fighting game would really push people in the right direction and really really give them some meat to go off of. And I think a lot of horror movie fans, it would bring them into the gaming field, especially since you have the Friday the 13th game coming out in October. But if you have a fighting game like that, that's like your wet dream. You could have like Blade versus Chucky, or you could have Freddy versus Jason, Michael versus Pinhead. You could have Leatherface versus Krueger. You could have Pumpkinhead versus the Xenomorph. There's a lot of different elements you could do, and you could do DLCs and people would do it. Just keep the core game mechanics, have secrets in there, and I think it could be really well. Next is, there's a game that came out, I haven't played it yet, it's called 7 Days to Die. Now, I want to play it. It's a survival zombie game where you are building your place. It's kind of like mixing like a Minecraft with a zombie game. So it could be really cool if they did that, to really push it through and make it something good. And I think that'd be really good. Once I play the game, I'll be able to give a better review of the game and really tell you guys what I really think. But next is retro gaming ongoing. Retro gaming is something that everybody thought was going to die out. It was going to be a fad of people going back and playing Atari, Sega Master System, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, PlayStation. Really trying to go back to what they remember when they were a kid. And that's something that is still resonating with people, because anybody can remember it. Now you got fans that are saying, oh, I remember the N64. Oh, I remember the GameCube. And even people are going to PS2 and original Xbox now. And then they're even going all the way back to Coleco and Intellivision. And it's really, the bubble may burst, but I think retro gaming will always go, and having things like the Retron and all that. Well, let me show you something. So, just bear with me for a second. See, over the past couple of months, I have picked up retro games. Now, I have 4 Super Nintendo games. I have like 7 Sega Genesis. But put this in mind. Since January, I have picked up all these games. This can be kind of like a what I found thing. I've gone to places like Pink Gorilla, which I'm not a big fan of. I fucking hate those people. They treated me like dog shit when I went there. Another Castle in Edmonds, Washington is really good. Super Smash Games in Tacoma, Washington is really good as well. We have Tetris. I got this game from Another Castle. It is the original Legend of Zelda. I really like this game. I think it's one of the best games that there is on the Nintendo. We have Gauntlet 2. I have this game. It really wasn't that good, but it comes with the manual and then protective case. It's called The Legacy of the Wizard. I got it from my girlfriend, and I thought she'd like it. I got my all-time favorite Mario game. I actually got this from my sister. It's Super Mario Bros. 3. Ultima 4, Quest for the Avatar for the regular Nintendo. Very good game. Friday the 13th, very underrated video game. I really like it. This game works sometimes it doesn't. We have Ultima 3 Exodus for the regular Nintendo as well. This game I played the shit out of when I was a kid. It's the original Gauntlet. It's the Tengen version too. Not that easy to find. I have Dragon Warrior, which is Dragon Quest 1, which was you can take it or leave it. Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. Every kid that's my age grew up with this cartridge. Like everybody. From Sunsoft, Batman, one of the best Batman games that's ever been made. Very tough though. And then we have my girlfriend's favorite game, Dr. Mario. So when you think retro, as I've just showed you, I've just gotten into the retro gaming sphere over the last couple of months, which leads me into a game I've been playing for 16 years. A game that to me is one of the best interpretations of a RPG, a dungeon crawler. It is Diablo 2. Now, Diablo 2 is one of the best RPGs ever, in my opinion. You have your looting, you have your monsters, you have your dungeons, you have your quests, you have character development, you have your skill trees. You can go out there and just search around and find shit. And to me, that's what it's about. It's all that stuff rolled into one. Diablo 2, like, I've beaten the game a bunch of times, but I love playing and going through different characters because you learn something new every time you play it. You keep going and you keep going and you keep going. And you could always introduce people into it. There's still people playing on Battle.net. There's a secret cow level, which is randomized shit every time. You always find new stuff. They're still putting patch files on the game. So I think Diablo 2 is one of the best games you will ever find. Now I know some people may not agree with me. They might go in different realms, but to me, it's Diablo 2. So this was the first episode of the Game Zone, and we'll see if you people like it.